Hi, Casey. Gregory Miller here. For my poem, I chose The Butterfly by Pavel Friedman. I did not see a discussion to post this to first to get approval, so I kind of just went with this anyways, and I figure it'll be okay. So it's written by Pavel Friedman, who was a victim of the Terezin concentration camp. And what would be known today as Austria, kind of Austria, Czech Republic, in that kind of area. And the Terezin concentration camp, it was not an extermination camp like Auschwitz, but it was more like a ghetto where they just basically piled all these people into this very crowded area that was not specifically designed for this. In fact, Terezin itself was a resort practically, but they turned it into a Jewish resettlement is what the Nazis used for it. But the first stanza of the poem is the last, the very last. So richly, brightly, dazzlingly yellow, perhaps if the sun's tears would sing against a white stone. And I picked up on at least two literary devices in this first stanza. That was a personification with perhaps if the sun's tears would sing. This is personifying the sun to have emotions like a human who weeps over something sorrowful. And obviously, it being a concentration camp, there was a lot of sorrowful feelings and depression going on. And there's imagery. So richly, brightly, dazzlingly yellow. The imagery makes you think of the sun, how it is very bright and yellow. He's reminiscing to the sun shining bright, which is often regarded as a symbol of peace and joy. The second stanza goes as, such a yellow is carried lightly way up high. It went away, I'm sure, because it wished to kiss the world goodbye. And so, again, some more literary devices just all throughout this entire poem. One of the literary devices I got for the second stanza was allusion. In the second stanza, the author is alluding to things becoming bleaker and depressing. When he first showed up to the concentration camp, it was, I really don't like this place, I really don't want to be here. But eventually, as time went on, all of that started to hit him, and it just continually got worse and worse. I also picked up on personification and symbolism in this as well, with the sun kissing the world goodbye is another example of personification, and it symbolizes the author losing hope. And it's very easy to see how someone could lose hope in this situation. The third stanza is, for 7 weeks I've lived here, pinned up inside the ghetto, but I have found what I love here. The dandelions call to me, and the white chestnut branches in the court, only I never saw another butterfly. Metonymy, I always have trouble pronouncing this word, I apologize. Metonymy. By the third stanza, it is clear that the author is using symbols throughout the story to describe aspects of his life. The sun symbolizes peace and joy. Moreover, dandelions are shaped like the sun, so they are substituting for the sun in the author's world. Also, the butterfly is a symbol of life, always has been throughout history. So this can be taken as the author losing sight of life in the dark and terrible concentration camp. There's also more allusion in this stanza as well, with to piggyback off the, again, I apologize, metonymies. This stanza is alluding to the grim circumstances that the author lives in and how he finds little things that give him hope. The fourth and final stanza is very short, but one of the most powerful throughout the entire poem. That butterfly was the last one. Butterflies don't live here in the ghetto, the closed town. So I got a lot from this last stanza because, like I said, it just kind of spoke out as the most powerful to me. And metaphor I got from the stanza was that butterfly was the last one. Metaphorically speaking, the author is referring to the last butterfly he saw as his last glimpse at humanity. Again, more illusion. You can really kind of just picture the story in your head if you think about it. And if you do a little bit of reading and researching on the Terezin concentration camp like I did, you can really almost get a picture for it. But the illusion in the fourth stanza was butterflies don't live here in the ghetto. The author is alluding to the conditions of the concentration camp and how the aspects of what we know as life aren't there. He's also referring to the literal terrain of the camp being so overcrowded and diseased and stripped of life. And like I said, what was basically built as a resort, they ended up packing 150,000 Jews into basically a resort. So you can imagine how overcrowded that would be horrible. And I got another metaphor, and that was the closed town. And it's a metaphor, and it has a lot of truth to it, because like I said, I went back and actually researched the Terezin concentration camp, and the closed town is an appropriate name for it, because in this closing line, the author is referring to the Terezin concentration camp. The Terezin concentration camp, known as the Fjords resettlement for the Jews. They launched a huge PR thing about the Terezin concentration camp because people were saying like, hey, what's going on with this town over here that seems to be overcrowded with Jews? And the Nazis tried playing it off as, no, it's okay, it's just a resettlement, it's super nice. And they actually launched a huge PR campaign, even making one of the Jews there, who was a director, a film director, before he got sent there, they created a fake camp. Like, they repainted walls, they built fake cafes and shops, told the Jews, if you don't act happy and play and rejoice in this video, we will kill you. And that's just awful. But like I said, the Fjords resettlement for the Jews was portrayed as a peaceful resettlement camp for Jews from across Europe, with schools, happy, playing kids, and even shops and cafes. However, this was entirely a PR stunt to cover up the inhumane conditions of the camp, which it says, which I'll expand upon further in my video, which is kind of what I've done and what I will be doing. Yeah, they even tried sending an investigation team down there to check it out, and the Nazis there, they made a bunch of Jews fix up a certain parts of the camp, and then when the investigators came, they led them through these exact parts of the camp that they done up real nice. They instructed the Jews there, do not talk to them. If you do talk to them, it's great here, I love it here, kind of stuff. And yeah, it was just awful. And so the theme of this poem is really kind of, I know I was supposed to do the theme first, technically just thinking about the rubric here, but going back to that, the theme here is kind of sorrowful and depressing, but it's just real. You know, I kind of don't like to sugarcoat things. I like the real stuff, the real truth, real history. And this kind of just makes you think, like, wow, how did we ever even end up in a time like that? But like I said, so the theme of this is just real sorrowful, but just real. And I think that is it. So thank you.